Sup everyone, this is Rita, aka 范老师, your Chinese teacher. 新年快乐! The year 2020 is finally over, so let's do something different to welcome a much better new year. When we talk about Chinese grammar, we have to deal with this particle 了. When you want to talk about what you did last night in the bar, you need it. When you read news in newspapers or company annual reports, you see it. It also appears now and then in lots of structures, no matter if you expect it or not. It's like a friend from your childhood who goes to high school and college with you. You see him like every day, and most of the time you think you know him. But you two don't really become friends, and you actually will realize it in some way from time to time. So let's get it straight to start off 2021. If you want to be friends with Le and with Mandarin Chinese so you can use language better, you're gonna want to subscribe right now and hit the bell down there. You'll thank yourself later. 关注了吗? Okay, let's get started. First thing first, Le is not a past tense marker. It's already clearly written in the two most commonly used textbooks in the US. And before their latest editions, Stanford professor Sun Chaofeng has written it in his book Chinese Linguistic Introduction. Sup everyone, this is Rita from the future where I am editing this video, and I happen to have two of those books in my hand, so let's take a quick look. Lesson 5 of Interpreted Chinese, it already said the dynamic particle le signifies the occurrence or completion of an action or event, or the emergence of a situation. Therefore, le is not a past tense marker and should not be taken as the equivalent of the past tense in English. Professor Sun's book is actually called Chinese A Linguistic Introduction. He says le is one of the inflection-like affixes, and he says in Chinese the marker that is closest to the notion of past tense and actually taken to be so by some is the verbal suffix le. However, the examples demonstrate that it is not really a past tense marker as it can be used grammatically in either a past event or a future event. And I'll explain what it really is later in this video. So let's go back. But apparently there still is this popular misunderstanding around, and more importantly, what is it instead? To answer this question, we need to differentiate two concepts in languages: tense and aspect. In Chinese, we make them one word, 时态, time and state, and they're usually taught together in most language classes, including my English class for Chinese people a couple of years ago. So it's not uncommon that people think it's one term, but actually there are two different perspectives to describe verbs. Tense is relatively easy to tell, because it just refers to the time when the event or action takes place, like before, during, or after the time when the speaker is speaking. As a matter of fact, if I'm telling you about something that I did before this very minute, I use the past tense form of the verb, like did instead of do. But if there's something that's happening after the present, we're supposed to say will do or be going to do to indicate it hasn't happened yet, but I'm talking about something in the future time. Here's a simple timeline. I ate an apple just now. I'm gonna eat another in a bit. Clear enough, yeah? Okay, now let's get to the harder part. What is aspect? We call it aspect because it's the perspective that we observe an action or an event in the past, present, or future. There are 4 types of language aspects. Simple, or say habits that you regularly do, like I eat apples every day. I don't need to say the specific time, I just regularly do it. Progressive, which means a continuing action or an ongoing event. I'm eating an apple right now. I don't really care when it starts or when it ends, and I'm just eating at this moment. Perfect is not the adjective 完美, but it means the end of an event or completion of an action. Something is finished. I have eaten the apple. Perfect progressive means that an event or action is, was, or will be continually happening, but that it is, was, or will be completed at a later time. We can dive into it more when you need me to explain when we use to le in one sentence. So subscribe and let me know you are curious about that too. Alright, now let's think about the 3 sentences again. I eat apples every day. I'm eating an apple right now. I'm eating the apple. And keeping in mind that they all are in the present tense, which means they describe the state of the action at the moment when I was speaking. Wait, why did I say was? Because the action speaking is in the past tense to me now, as well as eating an apple. If I'm like Matthew McConaughey in Interstellar, where he could walk through different times freely, and I look back to myself from 1 minute ago, I will say, I was eating an apple 1 minute ago. I had already eaten an apple before filming. If I decide I will not eat apples again in the future, so it was just my habit in the past, I'll say, I ate apples every day. We can also describe these aspects in actions or events in the future, and I'll elaborate it with some Chinese example sentences later. Now let's prove why le is not a past tense marker but an aspect marker. I ate apples every day back in college. 我上大学的时候，每天都吃苹果。Habits I had in the past don't use le. Similarly, 我去年常常健身。上个月我很忙，不常健身。I was eating an apple 1 minute ago. 1分钟前，我正在吃苹果。We need a progressive marker 正在 in this case to indicate the action was ongoing, but we don't use le. Like, 我去年这个时候正在墨西哥度假。他昨晚给我打电话的时候，我正在吃饭。Only in the case where we talk about an action/event completed would we use le. Like, I had already eaten an apple before filming. 拍视频前，我吃了1个苹果。去年我去了好几个国家。他昨晚给我打电话的时候，我已经睡了。Of course, there's an overlap between present perfect and simple past in concept, because they all refer to things that happened prior to the moment of me speaking. But just like in English, you can either ask, "Did you have dinner?" in American English, or "Have you had dinner?" in British English. In Chinese, we just ask, 你吃晚饭了吗? This is also probably why so many people have taken le as a past tense marker, but it actually is being a perfect aspect marker. And this actually makes Chinese learning easy, because you don't need to memorize verb conjugations to talk about past, present, and future. Words themselves don't change. You just need to know when to add the markers, and you are good. By the way, I want to give a big shout out to La Fabrica del Mundo on Instagram, who actually left a comment with le, self-corrected later, but she was actually right in the first place, and she suggested a YouTube video about this familiar stranger, le. And now let's reset our understanding of le by using it in the future tense. I will have finished my homework at this time tomorrow. 明天这个时候，我已经做完作业了。I'm gonna call you after I finish my class tomorrow. 明天我下了课。给你打电话。I will have already fell asleep if you call me at midnight tomorrow. 你如果明天晚上12点给我打电话，我那时候应该已经睡了。See, as long as something has been done before a certain time point, be it in the past, present, or future, le as a perfect aspect marker is needed to mark the completion or actualization of an action. So this is Rita from the future again. And now I think it's safe for us to say that there are no tenses in Chinese. But here I don't mean that we don't have the concept of tense, because of course we talk about past time and future time. There is just no marker for it. What we do have are the markers for aspects. Modern Chinese does not have a grammatical marker of tense that relates an event or a situation to the time of speaking. Crystal clear. There's still something that might be confusing for you, so let's just keep watching. But know that when we say completion, it doesn't necessarily mean that the task of what the speaker is saying is completed. Because I can say, 我吃了苹果，但没吃完。 The second half of this, with what's called a resultative complement, is another whole rabbit hole that plays a pivotal role in Chinese language, which we can make a few videos about in the future. Let me know if you're interested. Another related tip for le usage is about things called stative verbs, like to be, 是, or verbs of mental actions like to think, 觉得, or to like, 喜欢. Because these verbs usually don't have a clear ending time, they don't fit a perfect aspect. So oftentimes they don't use le, no matter it's in the past, present, or future. 我10年前是研究生，也是老师。那个时候，我觉得我什么都不知道，但我很喜欢我的工作。Notice how in English, these would all be in past tense, but in Chinese, we don't have a single le. Of course, as the most complicated grammar particle, le has a lot more grammatical functions other than the perfect aspect marker, like the marker of a new state. But how can we tell when it is the perfect aspect marker and when it indicates a new state? I'll make a video for you when my YouTube followers hit 1K. So if you like this video, definitely remember to hit the like button and comment with what you find challenging. This way, the YouTube algorithm will show this to more people. Remember, with 范老师, Chinese makes perfect sense. I'll see you in the next video. 你是我的小呀小苹果。